first of all, what information have you been able to gather from your colleague farmers and yourself? How dire is the situation we are faced with?
Good evening, and let me say thank you so much for giving us opportunity to once again contribute to the discussion. You know, our position has always been the same because we are the primary victims and at the same time primary beneficiaries of any government policy. So when the whole thing started and our farms were going down, consistently we communicated this to the ministry. If you remember, last 2 weeks, we even have to hold a press conference where we were not hearing anything coming from government. Even though from last week to date, the rains have started coming, but about 80% of the crops that are affected by the drought spell are already gone. The rains cannot overturn anything. So the situation has not changed from when we put out the press briefing and then the information that we provided to the ministry. And we always make our position very clear that we shouldn't limit it to northern Ghana. This situation affects the whole of the Middle Belt and the whole of northern Ghana. So we need to broaden our discussion and the support to all these areas who are affected.
And Doc, so according to what you're saying, you've been ringing the alarm bells all this while. Very little has been heard from government. So would you say we are in a state of emergency?
Yeah, there is, and in our press release, we made that clear. And let me also say that government were earlier on mute on the whole thing. So we are happy that they are responding now, indicating that there will be some kind of support for the farmers. But we will still be interested in going into details to understand how that support is going to reach the actual beneficiaries or the actual victims. We say this because in the past, we experienced similar challenges, and when it comes to actually supporting the real victims, the whole support is diverted. So we will be more interested in the more collaborative discussions to identify who are the real victims. So by the end of the day, those people will feel compensated and they'll think that they have people who back them. So that they don't give up. Because once we give any hint for them to have the feeling that this is meant for a certain agenda, that not to actually address their real challenges, those people will be discouraged.
Right. And Doc, finally, the government has stepped in. Some would say better late than never. They have placed a ban on the export of all these major grains. How much of a solution is this to the problem? How much would it help the current situation that we are faced with?
You know, I don't think that is the way to go. We need to do broader conversation on that. Otherwise, it may backfire.
You mean the ban is not going to be much of a help?
The ban, I think it's too premature to announce a ban. I say this with clear evidence of what that happened to us last 2 years. The ban rather put farmers more into a risky position than what it intends to do. You see, let's take last year, 2023. We produced so much that we, as an association, approached the government and gave them a strategy to help us to mop all what we produce and farmers cannot get market and store them. So that during the rain season or emergency season, it will release into the market. Government never budged. Farmers nearly actually committed suicide because they took loans, they have to settle their utility bills, they have to pay for their kids' school fees, and no market for their produce. So we're only fortunate that the Burkina Faso and then the Togolis came in to mop up. So if government is announcing a ban, what we expect to hear from government, what are the measures in place to ensure that there is guarantee market, to ensure that we have prices that commensurate with increase in cost of production. But if you just ban and then without putting in those measures, by the end of the day, you are making the farmers to suffer. And when the farmers are not able to get good market to commensurate the loans and the cost of production, the following year they won't go into production again.
Right. Doc, thank you so much. Certainly it's a conversation that will be engaging you further on. Dr. Charles Nyaba is the former Executive Director of the Peasant Farmers Association of Ghana. If you're also hearing this for the first time, there is a ban on some exports. Government has given justification for it. But a bit of a backstory that there are fears of a potential food insecurity in the northern parts of the country following the absence of enough rainfall this year, leaving many farmlands dried up with crops destroyed. This is after some farmers have been waiting for the rains to do planting, while others have already planted their farms and continue to wait in limbo. Our correspondent Ibrahim Wangara has put the spotlight on the Upper West region specifically.
Irregular rainfall pattern in the northern parts of the country has left farmers devastated, with commercial farmers the most affected, as many farms have been destroyed due to the lack of rainfall. Groundnuts, yam, millet, rice, sorghum and maize farmers are the hardest hit. After waiting for the rains in vain, many farmers have retired from their farmlands, hoping for divine intervention to enable them salvage some of their crops should the rains come again. A 50-year-old farmer who has cultivated 350 acres of maize in the East Enclave of the Upper West region expressed his frustrations.
It has greatly affected it negatively. You can see how crops have been affected. And those that are tasseling and during the drought period had been affected badly. Last year, for instance, we had about 150 acres. But we harvested more than 3,000 bags of maize, that's the 50 kgs. And this year we increased it to 350 acres. We have lost a lot. We have lost a lot. No matter how many times the rain comes, but those that we have planted earlier have already affected, and I think we have lost them like that.
Some farmers also vented their anger over the lack of rainfall and destruction to their crops.
For the rainfall this year, it has affected a lot. I applied the fertilizer in June up to August. I didn't get rain, so it has affected my crops a lot. Last year, I farmed 20 acres, and then I got 150 pieces of 100 kgs. And then this year too, I can't best tell, but all my maize, it has spoiled.
And the land that the bulldozer clear is about 38 acres. That is 38 acres that the bulldozer clear. But I want to use the land to sow sorghum. But currently, there is no rain that for me to use the land to plant the sorghum. So currently, I left the land. I don't know what to do. I'm totally confused. I don't know what to do.
Abdul Manaf also fears the phenomena may have an adverse effect on food security in the country, while having the tendency to serve as a disincentive to the youths.
Considering this, a lot of young guys went into farming because we believe that that is the area that can help boost the economy in this country. But what have affected us this year, I think many people will be discouraged. I think the whole of Northern Belt, everybody has been affected. I think that food security in Ghana is something that the government have to take seriously. If not, we are going to face a very huge challenge.
Though some part of the north have begun witnessing little drop of rainfall, to most farmers, all hope is lost as they continue counting their losses. Ibrahim Wangara, TV3 News, Chase, East District.